Release the Kraken!
Greetings, fellow game designers. Ron here at Lame Duck Studios, and today we're going to be modifying our rig to prepare Mario for the crouching and jumping animations. So in the previous tutorials, we went ahead and made an FK rig, or a forward kinematic rig, and that's really great for doing a lot of things. But when it comes to doing something like crouching, you want the ability to have your feet kind of planted on the ground. And if we were to do a crouching animation with this, we'd have to grab, the torso, for example, and we'd have to lower it, and then we would have to do some bending of the knees and the hips. So like we'd have to pull these up, and then we'd have to like bend the knees in the correct position, and we'd have to bend the foot in the correct position, and then we would have to hope that once we do this, that we don't get sliding, like so, through the miracle of editing. And you can kind of see as Mario is crouching in this particular situation that his feet are sliding. So you can see as he's going into the crouching position, the feet are sliding through the floor, and they're kind of like doing this thing, which is very indicative of FK when you're dealing with rotating bodies and you're trying to make sure that they're all planted and rotating. It just becomes a pain. So what we're going to do is we're going to modify Mario's rig so that the legs operate using IK, or inverse kinematics, which will make it a lot easier for us to plant his feet on the ground, to just move the rig and let it crouch without any kind of weird rotation on the legs. So this is what we're going to be setting up today, is this little IK situation. Now, a lot of animators and riggers will set up a FK and IK switch rig, but those are quite a bit of work to create, so we're not going to do that in this video, but we will set up this very simple IK setup on the legs, which takes about 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and jump back into our bind pose rig file. You can see I'm in my IK file. You won't have that yet. I'm going to go to File and Open. I'm going to go down to my Mario stuff. And I'm going to grab the bind pose rig tutorial file that we built together. I just won't save this one. And here we are. So here's our original rig. And again, this is all FK. So if I grab like the hip or whatever, I can do rotations. And what I want to do real quick is just come over to our joints here. I'm going to grab the root joint, hold shift, and then hit the plus sign there. And I'm going to expand all this to my constraints, because we created constraints on the foot and knee and hip joints, and we want to remove those so that those are not lingering when we make changes. So I'm going to go to my left leg, so left hip, left knee, left ankle, and left left ankle parent constraint. And I'm just holding control as I'm clicking. So that's left hip, left knee, left ankle, and left ankle again. And I'm going to go ahead and hit delete. And again, I'm not deleting the bones, I'm just deleting these little red chain links, which are the constraints here. And then I'll do the same thing for the right ankle, and then the right knee and right hip. I'm going to leave the pelvis, because that's fine. I'm just going to get the ankle and the knee and the hip. And I'll go ahead and delete those off. And you can see the hip through the foot no longer have constraints on them. Same thing here. And then for the actual, the rig itself, we won't need the hip, so we're going to get rid of that. But right now it's parented to the knee and the foot. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the foot. I'm going to press Shift P. That's going to unparent. And you can see it got dropped down here. And I'll do the same thing for the knee. So Shift P. And then I can grab the hip, and I'm going to just press delete on the hip. Bye-bye hip. We won't need him anymore. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So I'm going to grab the foot, Shift P. And then I'm going to grab the knee, Shift P. And then for the hip, I no longer need that. I'll go ahead and delete that off. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my skeleton on, because I'm going to need that, and I will unreference it like so. Now we really should save this, but we don't want to save over our bind pose rig. We're going to make a quick change to File, Save As. We should have done this in the beginning, but I got ahead of myself. So we have our bind pose rig tutorial. I'm going to go ahead and just put IK in there. And then later on, you can go to the old one and just put FK in there as well. But for this one, this is going to be the IK. So I'll save that. And now when we save it, we don't have to worry about ruining the other one. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and change this to rigging. If you haven't done that yet, we should be in the rigging tab, and we should also be on the rigging shelf. And we want this little elbow with a rubber band on it. This is our IK handle here. So go ahead and grab that. Once you grab it, come over to your tool settings, open that up, and go ahead and just make sure that our current solver is set to rotate plane solver. Whenever you have more than 2 joints bending, you're going to want rotate plane solver. So a rotation plane, we have our 3 axes, X, Y, and Z, and a rotation plane it runs perpendicular to one of those axes. So, for example, this left and right position of our main control, this is perpendicular to our y-axis. So this would be the rotate plane of our y-axis. We're making one for our hips running on our along our x-axis. And so our rotation plane would be perpendicular, which would be straight down this axis. So if you actually look at it in this example here, it creates like a little triangle between your 3 joints. And from the side, you can see the plane runs through. And this is what we're going to be rotating along. And then from the front, you can see this is perpendicular, straight down, like this. So this is what we're really making. And when you set these up, it's real important to have your joints be perfectly straight on the plane that they're going to bend on. So remember, when we made this leg, we took care to make sure that it was perfectly straight in the front. So if I go to my front view here, you can see that the joints, there's no kink off axis. These are perfectly in this alignment, which is why we took the time to do that. But on the side, it's fine, because this runs contrary or to the plane that we want to actually be on. So that part's fine. This bend is fine. This is going to help us. We just don't want one side to side. And with my tool selected, I'm going to go ahead and grab the hip here, and then I go down and grab the ankle. And there should just be 2 clicks, and you'll see that it drops in the IK handle. And we're going to go ahead and just name this. This is going to be left ankle IK, like so. And if I grab this and get the move tool, and if I go ahead and move it now, you can see that this forms that triangle we were talking about, right? And that's how it's bending. It's going to bend along that plane, which is great. Okay, but that handle is real tiny. It's not very convenient to get a hold of. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the tool settings. Go ahead and hit that. And so what we're going to do here is we want to make it easier for us to grab that handle. And conveniently, we happen to have our foot control. So I'm going to go into my hierarchy here. I'm going to grab the IK for my left ankle, and I'm going to middle mouse drag that to the left foot control. So that's going to parent it underneath my left foot control. And if I grab my left foot control, it works. Okay. If you don't remove the constraints that we had, it would start being weird and twisting funny. So I want to make sure that those are cleared before we do that. And then we want to make sure that we're able to aim our knee. So right now we have our knee control, and the ability that we have to rotate this is great, but we don't have a way of turning it. So that's what our knee control is going to do. It's going to allow us to aim our knee. So I'm going to grab our knee control, and real quick, I'll go to polygons, and I want to make sure I hit center pivot. That's going to give us our pivot up front to make it easy for us to aim. And I want to select the knee control, and then I want to go down and select the ankle IK. So knee IK, so knee control and then ankle IK. Go up to constraints. We want to do a pole vector. Okay, and that is what we should see. We should see this little thing kind of poking off. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and grab the knee control here. And now if I move this left or right, you can see it aims our knee, which is going to be handy for when we want to do that in the animation. Okay, and I can go ahead and bend this, and I can grab that one, and I can aim. Cool. Very good. And then we want the ability to turn the ankle, so the foot up and down and side to side. So we're going to go ahead and add our constraints back to here. So I'm going to grab the foot control, and then I want to grab, hold shift and grab the ankle joints. And I'm going to put the constraints back on. So we're going to do constraint. And last time we had a parent constraint, but if we add that, we're going to break our rig. So we don't want to do that one. We're going to use the orient constraint instead. But go ahead and hit the option box here. And we want to make sure that maintain offset is checked. If it's not checked, when we go ahead and do this, we're going to get flipping. Okay, so we want to just make sure that we hit maintain offset and apply. So now we have that one in there. We can close this. And then we want to add the scale constraint back, so that one can go back. All right, and now I should be able to turn my ankle and move it up and down without affecting my IK, which is good. And if I were to grab the hip and I just move the hip up and down, you can see he now does the little crouchy crouch, which is great. Okay, and then we want to make sure that these are parented to the main control. So I'll grab the knee, and then I will grab the foot, and then I will shift select the main control and press the P key. And now that our knee and our foot will go wherever the main control is. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. I'll grab under rigging, I'll get my IK tool, and this should already be set to rotate plane, but just go ahead and make sure, hit the tool settings, make sure it's on rotate plane. And we'll do the hip down to the ankle. Go ahead and name it. This is going to be the right ankle IK. And very easy, we're going to go ahead and just middle mouse drag that to the right foot control. And then I'll just open that up. We want the knee control, and then select our ankle IK. We want to set up our pole vector. So pole vector. And we'll test it, make sure that that's working. And you can see that I actually forgot to shift where this is. So it does work, but you can see that that feels very awkward. Okay, no big deal. We should be able to center this without having to undo our work. I'm going to go ahead and go back to poly modeling here, and I will hit the center control. And as long as it doesn't jump, we should be fine. So, and it didn't, so it looks good. And we can test it. And that feels more natural. Okay, very good. And then we want to set up the controls for our foot and our ankle. So go ahead and grab the foot, and then I will shift select the ankle joint, come up to constrain, and again we can't use the parent constraint on this because we'll break our rig. So we're going to go down to the orient and make sure maintain offset is in there. We will apply it. That looks good. And then we can close that, and then we want to do the scale constraint. Very good. And we should be able to rotate, and you can always test to see if you can scale it, which we can. Awesome. And then lastly, we're going to parent these. So the ankle and the knee, we can parent that back to the main control. And voila. So now, when we do our crouching animation, we can just do this, and that should work. And of course, we go too far, we get some weirdness. But yeah, that's pretty much it for setting up the IK on the legs. We're going to go ahead and just save it. And in the next one, we'll do the crouching animation and then prepare to do the jumping animations. All right? So I want to do a quick shout out for my patrons, JTechFab, Dr. Jeb, and Richard Beston. Thank you guys for supporting me, and I shall see you next time. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my channel. Misty and I both thank you. If you enjoyed that video just watched, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. Also, we're at 1,400 subscribers. Woo! If you have any suggestions for future videos, go ahead and leave them down in the comments. And if you want to keep up with me on Twitter, it's BruceRF1. That's also in the description. And if you want to support the channel, make it easier for me to make content for you, check out some of my merch or one of my books. But yeah, all that, again, is in the description. Check it out, and I shall see you next time.